For years, we've been made to believe Mary Poppins is a sweet, caring nanny who loves children. But the book version tells a completely different story from the Disney one we've all come to love. Who is Mary Poppins really? And what dark secrets is she hiding? This is the story hiding between the pages, the one no one talks about. Let's start with what Disney did to this character. In the movie, Mary Poppins is practically perfect in every way, right? She's kind, patient, loves the children, and teaches through gentle songs and magic. She wants to help the Banks family reconnect and heal. She's warm, caring, and everything you'd want in a nanny. Now, forget all of that. Erase it. The book version is the total opposite. The real Mary Poppins is cold as ice. Her eyes are described as small, sharp, and piercing blue. Nothing escapes them. She examines people like insects under glass. When she first meets the Banks family, she doesn't ask for the job. She makes them feel like they need to impress her. She snorts with contempt when asked for references. The family gets this uncomfortable feeling that they're auditioning for the right to employ her, not the other way around. Disney's Mary Poppins smiles constantly. Book Mary Poppins barely smiles at all except when looking at her own reflection. She's completely convinced she's the most beautiful creature ever to exist. The author writes that she never doubts for a second that she looks spectacular. Disney's version loves the children and shows it openly. Book Mary treats Jane and Michael with coldness, arrogance, and often pure indifference. She never wastes time being nice, as one character points out. She scolds them relentlessly, and everything about them disappoints her. And here's where it gets alarming. The most important difference here is that Disney's Mary Poppins is human. Book Mary Poppins is absolutely, definitely not. So if she's not human, what is she? Let's dig into the evidence. Let's take a look at the first time we met her. Mary Poppins arrives at the Banks house riding the east wind. Not metaphorically. She literally glides through the air carried by wind. Using her umbrella as a sail, her Uncle Albert provides the first major clue. They visit him and find him floating at the ceiling because he inhaled laughing gas and couldn't stop laughing. When Jane and Michael start giggling, they float up too. But Mary doesn't laugh. She doesn't need to. She simply rises through the air effortlessly and sits at the floating table like it's completely normal. Uncle Albert watches her with sadness and jealousy. He actually says she doesn't need laughing gas. She can fly anywhere, anytime she wants. Then there's her relationship with animals. Mary speaks their language fluently, not just understands them, actually converses with them like equals. When a neighbor's dog runs away, Mary acts as translator between the dog and the owner. She negotiates like she's done this 1,000 times. The baby twins, John and Barbara, can also talk to animals at first. They chat with birds, understand what the wind says, hear trees speaking. But a starling tells them something heartbreaking. When their first teeth come in, they'll lose these powers forever and forget they ever had them. Every human forgets, except one. Mary Poppins never forgets. The starling calls her the Great Exception, an exception to the entire world and its rules. But the real revelation comes on her birthday. One night during a full moon, a mysterious voice wakes Jane and Michael. It commands them to get dressed and follow. The voice leads them through dark streets to the city zoo. They're expected. Inside the reptile house, surrounded by hundreds of hissing snakes, they find Mary Poppins sitting on a throne. She's completely calm, totally in control, radiating this quiet power. Then the king cobra appears. This massive serpent, described as the lord of all animals, the wisest and most terrible creature alive, approaches her slowly. He rises up and kisses her cheek multiple times with deep affection. Then he does something shocking. He sheds his golden skin right there and presents it to her as a birthday gift. Why would the most dangerous snake on earth treat a nanny like royalty? Because Mary Poppins is his first cousin once removed on the mother's side. It was revealed that she has snake blood, royal snake blood. Suddenly, everything about her personality makes perfect sense. In Eastern religions, Nagas are half-human, half-snake beings who control the weather, live for centuries, and tolerate humans far more than they actually like them. So, was this what the author was hinting at? Let's take a look at the other evidence, because there's an even deeper connection that explains everything about who Mary Poppins truly is. In Hindu mythology, the goddess Kali is one of the most powerful and complex deities. She's fierce, terrifying in her rage, wears a necklace of severed heads, and is always surrounded by snakes. But she's also the ultimate mother goddess, representing feminine power, protection, creation, and destruction all at once. Kali embodies primordial energy, the mother of the universe itself. She protects the innocent from evil, but her methods are harsh, brutal, and sometimes incomprehensible to humans. Sound familiar? Pamela Travers, the author, is said to be openly obsessed with Eastern spirituality. She studied Sufism, Theosophy, Taoism, and Zen Buddhism intensely. She practiced yoga when it was considered bizarre and exotic in the West, and was known to work closely with the famous mystic George Gurdjieff, learning about consciousness and spiritual transformation. Look at the evidence. Mary Poppins appears and disappears with the changing winds. Mother goddesses throughout mythology have this same pattern of vanishing and returning in cycles. Persephone descends to the underworld and returns. Isis searches for Osiris and brings him back. The mother goddess leaves and comes back when she's needed. Mary shows up when the Banks family is falling apart. She establishes order through discipline and was portrayed as the savior who came to save the family, giving her character a similar responsibility as a mythological goddess. But then there's the darker side that we can't ignore. Mary Poppins uses gaslighting as her primary tool of control. After every magical adventure, every impossible thing the children witness, she tells them it never happened. She doesn't do this playfully. She attacks them with rage when they question what they saw. When Michael asks if Uncle Albert really floated, Mary lashes out and scolds him viciously, insisting he made up absolute nonsense. The children are left confused and frightened, knowing what they experienced was real but too scared to trust their own perception. This happens over and over. Gaslighting victims are forced to doubt reality, to question their own sanity, to become dependent on the abuser for defining what's true and what's not. Mary also tears down their self-esteem constantly. She criticizes everything: their posture, their manners, their questions, their clothes, their behavior. Nothing they do is ever good enough. She calls them a burden, threatens to leave, and describes in detail how they fail at being proper children. The result? Jane and Michael live in constant anxiety and self-doubt. Multiple times the author describes Mary in her fury as seeming to grow twice her size, towering over them, huge and terrifying, while Michael cowers under her wild gaze. One passage is particularly chilling. Michael wakes her by accident and she hovers over him in her nightgown, huge and angry, waiting for an answer. He's frozen in terror under her lightning-throwing stare. So how do we reconcile this? Is Mary Poppins protecting these children or damaging them? Before you answer, drop a comment below with your honest take. Do you think the children are better off with Mary Poppins or more traumatized by her? To understand Mary's methods, we need to look at her connections to beings even older than herself. Let's take a look at when she takes the children to meet Mrs. Corrie, a tiny old woman who runs an abandoned gingerbread shop. Mary treats this woman with profound respect, something she shows almost no one else. Mrs. Corrie isn't just old, she's ancient in every sense possible. She revealed that she was alive when Columbus discovered America. She remembers the earth being created. Her daughters are literal giants who live in absolute terror of their tiny mother. Then something impossible happens. The baby twins start crying, so Mrs. Corrie casually tears off 2 of her own fingers and hands them to the babies as candy. They eat them happily. New fingers grow back immediately. She mentions she's tried them herself, quite tasty, and assures everyone the children's fingers will grow back too when they eat them. Later that night, Mrs. Corrie and Mary fly into the night sky and paste golden gingerbread stars onto the darkness itself. Mrs. Corrie is clearly a goddess or primordial being of creation. She literally lights the stars, and Mary treats her as an equal or perhaps a respected elder. In mythology, the act of eating oneself appears constantly among gods and supernatural entities. The Greek titan Kronos devoured his children. The Norse serpent Ouroboros eternally consumes its own tail. These aren't acts of horror to immortal beings. They represent cycles of creation and destruction, the eternal return. The Ouroboros principle that all things consume and are consumed in the endless dance of existence. Mary also has a relationship with Bert, the match seller and sidewalk artist who can bring his chalk drawings to life. They step into his artwork and have tea inside a landscape he created. Bert clearly has his own supernatural abilities. Some think Bert is also a priest or servant to the same goddess Mary represents. That would explain why he has no real profession: painting, selling matches, playing music. These are just ways to pass time. His true purpose is serving the divine feminine in whatever form she takes. When Mary finally leaves, something heartbreaking happens. She gives Michael her magical compass as a gift. He should be thrilled. Instead, he's crying. Why? Because he says something devastating. What will happen now? Something terrible. She never gave me anything before. This 5-year-old child is so traumatized that receiving kindness from Mary feels frightening. It's so unlike her that it must mean something bad is coming. Jane tries to comfort him, saying Mary wanted to be nice. And both children feel this creepy sensation because kindness from Mary Poppins feels wrong, unnatural, terrifying in its strangeness. This is the psychological damage of her methods. These children are obedient, well-trained, but also deeply scared, and unable to trust positive emotions. Yet they love her desperately. They're attached to her in this intense, unhealthy way. Classic trauma bonding. She's both the source of wonder in their lives and the source of constant fear. That combination creates a powerful, confusing attachment. When she rides away on the west wind, she leaves them a small portrait with one word. Not even a goodbye. Just a hint that she might return someday. It's the most emotion she's shown them ever. So what's the truth about Mary Poppins? Is she evil? Is she good? Or she's something that doesn't have a boundary between both good and evil? So what is Mary Poppins really? Based on everything in the books, she's an ancient being, possibly some form of the mother goddess, connected to forces that existed long before humans walked the earth. Why did she come to the Banks house? We can only guess. Maybe she wanted to understand modern people better. Maybe something about this family called to her. Or maybe, as this fierce protective force, she sensed children who desperately needed someone strong to guide them through a difficult world. Her methods are brutal and would be considered abusive today, but to her, they work. Disney couldn't show any of this. They needed a character people would love and want to watch. So they removed everything dark and complex about her. And here's the strange part. Maybe in her own weird way, she actually did care about Jane and Michael. Not in a way that felt warm or comforting to them, but in a way an immortal creature might care about tiny, fragile beings whose entire lives are just a blink to her. Mary Poppins isn't a villain. She isn't a hero either. She's something else entirely, something we don't have simple words for because she exists outside our normal understanding of right and wrong. And the suspense of who she is and what she can be is what makes both the novel and the movies one of the best works ever. If this completely changed how you see Mary Poppins, hit that like button and subscribe because we're uncovering dark truths behind childhood favorites that will blow your mind. Drop a comment with your honest opinion. Is Mary Poppins ultimately good for those kids despite her methods, or is she just an abuser with magical powers? And if you've watched other videos exploring hidden meanings in classic stories, tell us which revelation shocked you most. We're just getting started peeling back the masks on characters you thought you knew.